This is Joe Biden, the President of the United States. As you know, Biden's son Hunter was found guilty of several federal gun charges and pled guilty to many tax crimes, including tax evasion and filing false and fraudulent returns. And he was granted a pardon by President Biden because no one is above the law.
In my administration, no one is above the law. Each of us is equal before the law. No one is above the law. No one is above the law. Each of us is equal before the law. No one is above the law.
Well, except for Joe Biden's son, of course. Now, after Hunter's conviction in the gun case, Democrats like Congressman/Biden sycophant Jamie Raskin attempted to contrast Hunter Biden's conviction with Donald Trump's.
Hunter Biden was just convicted of every single count that was brought against him by the U.S. Department of Justice. I've not heard a single Democrat anywhere in the country cry fraud, cry fixed, cry rigged, cry kangaroo court. You don't hear a single peep out of any Democrat saying that. Why? We believe in the rule of law. We believe in the justice system, and we stand by it. And you know what? Hunter Biden had every right and benefit that Donald Trump had. He had the right to a presumption of innocence. He had a right to counsel, which he exercised like Donald Trump did. He had a right to a jury of his peers, and he had a right to a unanimous verdict. And in both cases, a jury unanimously found against the defendant on all counts in both cases. The Republicans are attacking our entire system of justice and the rule of law because they don't like the way that one case came out. Whereas the son of the President of the United States is prosecuted, and I don't hear a single Democrat crying foul.
But then something changed. Just hours before Joe Biden granted Hunter's pardon, Raskin was asked if maybe Joe Biden should change his mind.
And so there are lots of claims of political prosecution and political
And was Hunter politically
prosecuted? I mean, obviously that's a judicial point, and you've got to look at what the evidence is, and I don't know enough about
should the president pardon him?
I mean, again, that is a unilateral executive power that.
And should he use it?
Well, the power exists for the president to show mercy for people who have committed crimes and either suffered some kind of injustice in the process or
Do you think Hunter has?
The punishment should the president is disproportionate. I mean, I haven't even remotely looked at it. I mean, I know basically what the alleged crimes were. One was when he was filling out a form about whether he was...
I get the sense you're not going to answer my question.
Yeah, I don't...
Raskin went from Hunter was found guilty by a jury of his peers, and we believe in the rule of law, and we believe in the justice system, to Hunter was treated disproportionately by Joe Biden's own Department of Justice, a narrative that would be echoed in Joe Biden's statement regarding the pardon. From the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making, and I kept my word, even as I have watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. But you can say the same thing about Donald Trump, who you may remember was charged with 34 felony counts. You know, selectively and unfairly prosecuted. Well, here's Megyn Kelly on the matter.
Let me ask you a question for those of you sitting at home who listen to this show. What was the underlying crime? What did the jury find Trump was trying to cover up with this falsified business record? Was it federal election campaign law violations? Was it tax law violations? Was it additional business records violations? Do you know? No, you don't. Neither do I. No one knows. Neither does Donald Trump. Good luck. Good luck filing your appeal.
And Megyn Kelly is not being hyperbolic here. Even after Trump's conviction, we literally do not know what the underlying crime was. And we don't know because back in March 2023, when the Trump indictment was announced, District Attorney Alvin Bragg didn't actually reveal what the underlying crime was.
I'm wondering if you can specify what laws were also broken.
Right. So let me say as an initial matter that the indictment doesn't specify that because the law does not so require.
Translation? I'm not going to tell you which laws were broken because it's a secret. So when Trump was convicted, Joe Biden came out and lectured everyone about how the justice system is the greatest in the world, and if you question it, you're a MAGA Republican.
Donald Trump was given every opportunity to defend himself, and was heard by a jury of 12 citizens, 12 Americans, 12 people like you, like millions of Americans who served on juries. This jury is chosen the same way every jury in America is chosen. And after careful deliberation, the jury reached a unanimous verdict. They found Donald Trump guilty on all 34 felony counts. That's how the American system of justice works. And it's reckless, it's dangerous, it's irresponsible for anyone to say this was rigged just because they don't like the verdict. The justice system should be respected, and we should never allow anyone to tear it down.
And yet, when explaining why Hunter Biden was tried and convicted by a jury of 12 citizens, 12 Americans, 12 people like you, he played the Trump card. I also believe that raw politics infected this process, and it led to a miscarriage of justice. Now, Democrats like former U.S. Senator Claire McCaskill have previously explained that Donald Trump was wrong to criticize the justice system because there's no such thing as a sham trial.
Why didn't they gin up a bunch of charges? Because people who do these jobs know you have to have evidence. And evidence is not a Democrat or Republican. Right. Evidence is evidence. And no one is going to bring a charge with no evidence. First of all, they could lose their law license. Secondly, they've got a judge they've got to answer to. Third, there's juries that are selected with the input of the defense. So the whole system is set up to protect people's individual rights through a system of checks and balances within our justice system.
And you can use that same argument against Joe Biden's BS claims, because evidence is evidence, even if it's evidence that hurts the Democrat president's son. So when it came to Donald Trump, Democrats insisted that Lady Justice was blind and that there was no such thing as a political prosecution. But when it came to Joe Biden's son,
this is not the normal prosecution. I said many times that if Hunter Biden were not Hunter Biden, he would never be charged with these crimes.
Most people who commit this type of crime aren't charged with crimes. Why do laws even exist?
So I'm always for accountability, but what I'm not for are political prosecutions. And let's be honest, the only reason why they went after Hunter the way they did, and I've talked to many federal prosecutors about this, is because he's the president's son, right? Somebody who has a lifelong drug addiction, and prosecutors would have handled this differently, so this was all politically motivated.
But as I pointed out in my previous video, in 2020, Hunter Biden filed a false and fraudulent return for tax year 2018. Hunter spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on various women, including escorts, hotels, adult entertainment, clothing, and car rentals, and told his accountants that these were all business expenses. In addition, Hunter falsely claimed that money paid to women with whom he had personal relationships were wages, which also reduced his tax burden.
What the other side has been saying for years, what you guys ran on for president, was multiple lies. I mean, if Eric Holder said it right, I think. He said if Hunter's name was Joe Smith, this case would probably have never even gone to trial, right?
But at the same time, if Hunter's last name was Smith, he would not have been on the board of a Ukrainian energy company. He wouldn't have made millions of dollars from foreign countries. And he wouldn't have been offered a plea deal by the Justice Department that would have gotten him off the hook for past and future crimes. And despite what Democrats claim, when Hunter filed the fraudulent 2018 tax return, he wasn't under the influence of drugs. It was just pure deception that should have been punished.
Some have argued that a different defendant, perhaps one named Hunter Smith, would have been approached and handled differently by DOJ given the same sort of facts. But I think at the end of the day, that argument is a loser. The prosecutor in this case was the Trump U.S. attorney in Delaware, but he also became Merrick Garland's special counsel. So it's really hard for, I think, the president or anybody else to accuse prosecutorial or alleged prosecutorial misconduct in this case.
Exactly. If U.S. Attorney David Weiss was selectively prosecuting Hunter, then why wouldn't Merrick Garland, Joe Biden's attorney general, have appointed a different special counsel?
The tax charges. Hunter Biden entered a guilty plea to those things, but it was all for unpaid taxes for which he'd already repaid the taxes, the interest, and the penalties.
First of all, it wasn't for unpaid taxes. And as a federal U.S. attorney, Barbara McQuade knows this. Second, the taxes were paid back, technically, but Hunter didn't pay back those taxes on his own. According to IRS whistleblowers, in 2020, Biden borrowed the money from his Democrat donor friend Kevin Morris, documented in a promissory note in the amount of $1.4 million to be paid back between 2025 and 2027 with 5% interest. Spoiler alert, Hunter Biden's gonna default on that promissory note, guaranteed.
David Weiss, the special counsel, tried to initially resolve this case, suggests that even he found it to be not a tremendously important case. Remember that he offered a plea to no prison time, pretrial diversion for the gun, and a misdemeanor on the tax case. It was only after that plea deal fell apart that they went and filed indictments for felonies in both of these cases.
Barbara McQuade is saying that they went after him because he's Hunter Biden, but she won't admit that he was initially offered a sweetheart plea deal only because he was Hunter Biden. And then there's the argument that Joe Biden had to give Hunter a sweeping pardon that covered 11 years of crimes that he may or may not have committed, because otherwise Donald Trump's Justice Department would have unfairly gone after him.
Who knows what Trump and Trump's Department of Justice will do when they say that their number one goal is retribution.
I think people have to remember the president has lost 2 children already, and he does not need to lose another one to more political, witch hunts. He, again, does not want to lose another son, but he has lost 2 children already, and he does not want this to go on any further once he leaves office.
I think that we now have a president coming into office who's talking about firing squads, who's talking about running people around the country and making sure that everyone who's his enemy is going to be punished.
Scott Jennings is a national treasure. And of course, Politics Girl is going to push the firing squad hoax. Trump never threatened anyone with firing squads, let alone used that term. But go ahead, show me exactly where he threatened his political enemies with firing squads, and I'll delete my channel.
Hunter Biden lied about his drug use on a government form when he was buying a gun, and he failed to file and pay taxes when he was a drug addict. He paid back those taxes with interest.
So Politics Gran is like, so what if a drug addict lied on a gun form to buy a gun he wasn't supposed to own because he was a drug addict? But then she makes paid promotional content to promote anti-gun organizations.
We know the majority of the country doesn't want to live in constant fear of gun violence, so we need to keep speaking up against it, even if and especially when it's hard. Which is why I'm really proud to be partnering with Everytown for Gun Safety Action Fund, Gun Safety, Gun Laws, Illegal Guns, Gun Safety, Gun Safety.
Remember, folks, when a Democrat is a hypocrite, it's different.
I mean, wasn't it a lie? I mean, you can defend it, but wasn't it a lie that he was not going to pardon him?
No, I believe the circumstances have changed.
And that brings us to Politics Grandma's previous point. The only reason that Joe Biden gave Hunter a pardon is because the bad orange man is going to be the president again. But here's Scott Jennings to completely obliterate that argument.
You guys can spend all day long trying to spin this, that this is Donald Trump's fault, that this is somehow caused by Donald Trump. Oh, he's appointing the wrong people. Oh, he did it. Oh, to sit for a year and say, I will not do this. I will not do this. The rule of law is sacred. We have to respect the justice system. Juries, we have to respect juries. We have to respect the guardrails and the norms of our democracy. These people are liars. Inflation is transitory. Afghanistan, it's a success. The border is secure. Robert Hur is a liar. The videos are cheap fakes. Biden has a cold. He'll never drop out. Oh, I'll never pardon Hunter. It's all a lie. It is all a grift. Every American, except the most partisan, brain-rotted people, are going to be outraged by this today. He's disgraced today. Outrageous.
Bravo, Scott Jennings. Bra-fucking-vo. Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time, if there is next time.